Hello and welcome to today's Gyan Darshan presentations for BIT students now. Today we are going to talk about the overview of second trimester courses. So basically I will be talking about, I will try to pinpoint the basic courses, basic topics which has to be taken up at various TLCs, and the coordinator has to note down those topics which are very important from the examinations point of view. Today I am not going to talk about any issues in detail, simply list the pointers to those topics and issues which will be presenting at a later stage. But before we start, let me welcome some students who have come, and the counselors have come from different TLCs. So the format will be of this type. The first 30 to 40 minutes I will be presenting the topics which I have planned for today, and the remaining 20 minutes we will be taking up questions and answer sessions now. And I will request the audience to ask the questions with respect to today's discussions only, not any other questions we will be taking up today. Now, so let me list now what are the important courses which we are talking about. We are talking about today BIT second trimester courses now. So there are two important courses we have in this trimester. One is called CSI 04 Computing Solutions, and the second one is called CSI 13, is a networking course. These two are theoretical courses, but apart from these two theoretical courses, we are starting the project from this trimester itself. But again, these projects are not differentiating between the multimedia streams and computing streams. Only from the fourth trimesters we are trying to differentiate a project for the multimedia and the computing stream. So all the students who have opted the BIT program, so they have to take either of these three projects now. There is no separate project for the multimedia students. They all are common from this trimesters now. Let me talk about little bit CSI 04 now. This is basically called the computing solutions now. Today what we are talking about is that the society needs have changed, therefore they require more informations now. We have moved from the agrarian society to what we call them e-society or digital society or information society and so on. So now the whole structure of society is getting changed, and the major influencing factor for changing the society structure and the needs, that is the information. It is not needed only by the society, but every organizations you go today, they require a different types of informations. So anyway, let me first give you the descriptions of a basic background of this course, and then we'll talk about the major topics which has to be taken up. But again, let me tell you that we have already done 3 video recording on last trimester. We have done 3 video recording on this topic. So I will not be repeating same thing in our presentation, but I will be talking about some different type of things in these trimesters now. So basically I will be talking about some topic. I will be taking up artificial intelligence or the data warehousing or what we call them RDBMS and so on. So those topics all TLC coordinators have to show to the students now. All the 3 they must have either recorded or they must have received from us. So 3 video cassettes are there on CSI 04 alone. So you all have to prepare your sessions after seeing this video lectures now. So our presentations, subsequent presentation will be added on more to that one, and considering the type of questions we are going to ask in the second trimester, so the whole presentations will be oriented towards that. That's something you have to read from the book, something you have to plan yourself, something you have to try to solve them. So we will talk from problem solving point of view this trimester, because the basics are already provided to you now. So let me give you now the descriptions of this course now. See, nowadays this is again, and then I will talk about the basic outcomes now. Nowadays information is not only used for data processing that we used to do earlier. Now the needs have changed. So information is being used for both a strategic and decision support now. All the managers, and you have different type of management in the whole, and you will know from your block outcome 1 there are 3 types of management in any organization, and they all require different type of informations. So you have to know what are those different type of management. So managers need informations to plan successfully in the short, medium and the long term, depending upon what type of management we are talking about. It is also recognized that information is required at all levels in an organization, and that information itself cannot can have many sources now, and you know that today internet has become the main important sources of the information. Many organizations who want to set up any industry, they get the information from the internet. For example, if you want to set up the automobile industry, you must know the needs of this demand in this area, then only you can start, and the peripheral markets surrounding that one. So many information you require, and internet is one of the important sources for providing you information, but there are many other sources are available, because sometimes classified data are not available on the internet, only you have to find through different sources, right. So basically the three topics, the course is basically what we call them outcomes in edXL's or the BIT HND terminology. We call them three outcomes are there. So three major topics are there, and all the course material which you see now is designed around three outcomes now. In fact, the structuring of the information is organized around sessions now. So each outcome has got at least 1 week should be delivered to, and each outcome should be taking up at least 1 week now. So and at least 5 sessions are for each outcome. This way the whole syllabus has been planned now. So now the three major topics to be discussed in this course is what we call them: examine the nature of informations and contemporary applications. We try to find out what type of informations, the different type of informations, and what are different applications of the information, like management information system. This is another one applications of the informations now. Examine the tools available to different organizations for information processing. Now basically what I was already have referred to, the whole our presentations now, subsequent presentation or future presentations will be based on only different type of tools which we last year couldn't present now. So this time we will identify different tools which are used for processing of the information, and will add more values to the course material which already you have got now. So we have different type of tools. For example, RDBMS is one such tool, AI is another such tool, and so on. And in AI itself they have a large number of tools are available. Expert system is another such tool, the speech recognition is another such tool, and so on. And in DBMS also we'll talk about, we have different type of DBMS, right. So and one such DBMS is what we'll call them RDBMS. So we'll talk about what is RDBMS, how it is different from a different type of DBMS, and so on. And finally, evaluate the information system within an organization. So we'll try to measure the informations now, and there are different parameters are there to quantify the informations which you have got from different organizations. For example, later on when we talk about the computer network, we will talk about, like for example, if you want to measure the efficiency of any protocol, whether it's your TCP/IP protocol or any Ethernet protocol or any other protocol, the basic parameter to measure the protocol is efficiency, or what we call them throughput. For example, we say that certain protocol has got 100% throughput. What exactly we understand from computer network jargon is that if you have sent 100 packets, all the 100 packets have been delivered to the destination. Means that is called, so throughput is one such parameter. And now we will try to find out what are other parameters which are used, that is used in computer network jargon, but informations related courses like system analysis and design and software engineering, what are the parameters to measure the information which you have got from different channels. So these are the three basic topics are there, and one has to prepare the whole syllabus accordingly now. But anyway, just for your information, so that you should not miss now this type of questions we always keep on asking in our term and examination, or so at least these basics must be very clear to you. Like for example, one has to understand what is informations. In fact, you have to understand the difference between informations and the data. In fact, you have to understand the difference between informations and knowledge. So you have to, for example, you get let's say the telephone number might be informations, because it's not a one number, but it's a hierarchy, it's a categorizations of, it contains different type of values within it. So what exactly is information? This is what you have to understand. What are the sources of information? And I listed one already, that the internet is one such source of information. Why we require information in organizations now? What is the use of information in any organization? We are not talking about a particular type of organization. All our presentation is independent of any type of organizations now, because all organizations require a different type of informations now. Why different type of information is required by different type of people in the organization? Why? Because you have different hierarchies there. There is top management, there is a middle level management, and there is a lower level management, and all view the problem from a different point of view. For example, let me try to understand, make you understand. Is, let's say for example, in any computer organizations or software development, we have a one team called programmer, the one group, and the another is called system analyst. There is difference between, you must understand that the difference between system analyst and programmer. A system analyst must understand the entire software development life cycle. He has to analyze the problem, he has to understand the problem, he has to do the software development, he has to do the coding. I mean, he is involved with different life cycles. He has to understand the costing, he has to understand the demand of this one, he has to understand the maintenance and so on. So a system analyst is involved with all the life cycles of a software development, whereas a programmer is concerned only with the coding. So all the blueprint of the software which has to be designed is prepared by the system analyst. So he has a wide understanding or vision of the entire software development or the organization, but a programmer is simply concerned with the code which is involved with. That is why today the pay package for a system analyst is much more higher than the programmer. People who go abroad, basically they are going, most of them go only for the programming, but because very few people have come to at that level, what we call them system analyst. But in different organization, or let's say any good organizations, they have a clear-cut division between system analyst and the programmer. So their needs are different, their information's requirement is different. So that is why you have to understand what type of information is required by the top level management. They are more on the strategic decisions they have to take now, and the information required by the lower level management is entirely different type of thing. So you have to understand and so on. Now, so basically how we store the informations, various ways we have moved from paper based to, again we have a floppy and CD and so on. So we have moved from a different, what is transactions processing, that again something you have to understand, and finally you have to understand what is management information systems and so on. So all these are buzzwords which you have to understand as a part of CSI 04. Now let me just quickly give you, because I told you that I will be not talking about in detail. We are simply, because this topic something don't require you can yourself pick up these courses and prepare very well. We'll simply pinpoint that you should not lose the importance of this subject and come back to the more. I will be concentrating more on the second CSI 13, because I have found from the previous batch that the maximum failure rate in the networking course now, because somehow they are not able to understand the basics. So I will be focusing more, and more presentations will be on the networking side rather than CSI 04, where we have 80% throughput, something like this. So we will not talk much on that side. Let me see the information now. How to define the information, just for your just for the continuations of the maintaining the continuity of my presentations. Now information is derived from data. That is something, the basic source is the data. Now the data with some value or some use to a decision maker in order to take a decision. So unless data has a certain meaning, it will not become information. I give you example of a PIN code or a telephone number, right? It is information, because first 2 digits might be the area code, and so on the last might be the actual telephone number or the port number of the residence and so on. Same way you have the telephone number also. So which switching exchange you are connected to, that might be having first 2 or 3 digits now. So any data which has certain meaning for making the decisions and so on. For example, with this area code one can easily identify that how many what is the telephone density in a particular area. So they require more telephone exchanges and so on. So any data which forces the decision making to think entirely different way, or to have more getting involved in decision making process, we'll call them is information. And then what is a knowledge? Of course, these are the basic units. Just like for example, when you do the programming language, you have a basic units like variables and constants and data type and so on. So any software development or system analysis, the basic unit of information is what we call them data, informations and knowledge, and after that everything is built upon it. So now what is knowledge? Although we keep on talking about it, but if you ask you to define, very few people are able to define them. Now let me go. It is an experience and the understanding that you have gained after decisions and judgments. So for example, a doctor which has worked for 10 years or a lawyer has practiced for 10 years is much more knowledgeable than a lawyer who has just started the career. So something like this. So knowledge is something not taught in the particular classroom environment. Like for example, take example of a Java programming. Now you have done this first trimester, people ask that I have not learned, I am not able to do the programming and so on. Basic thing, what we give you the basic pointers and so on, and only through experience and writing your own more programs you gain the knowledge of or go into depth of the subjects. So knowledge is something you have to practice yourself, right, and that you gain after some period of time. Like for example, if you handle a big project, you will be much more knowledgeable about this subject than you simply by reading a book. Now again, we will not go into detail. Information should satisfy. These are the following, the test, the basically what we will call them CAT test. C stands for complete. It has to be complete. Accuracy, timeliness, and it should be adequate. For example, if I want to, let's say today lots of sites, online sites are there, electronic commerce sites are there through which you can purchase your book. But information will not be complete. Suppose that I want to purchase a book from particular website. So then I have to give complete information about the purchase order, like which book I want to purchase, what is the author's name and cost, or let's say I want to book a ticket, I have to find out which day I want to travel and so on. So all the information have to be complete, otherwise it will not make any. So accordingly you can find the importance of the accuracy and the timeliness and the adequacy of the informations. Now again, now we will talk about little bit very briefly about information system, because you must be come across with the terms like what we will call the management information system, executive information system, or transaction processing. Just I will simply define them. So the transaction processing system, what exactly we understand by the transaction processing system are highly structured systems that process routine day-to-day activities. The information system that cater to the senior and middle level management, any software which have been designed to serve the needs of the higher level management, what we will call the management information system and so on. And most of the people are involved. In fact, in India, most of the job are in the management information system. Very few people go for what we will call them the system software. There more our information system fit into this type of category. And again, so there are different type of tools are there, and I told you that at least 2 or 3 presentations will be on these tools. Next Monday might be on, will give you an overview of RDB about DBMS, because this literature which you have got last year, it didn't give much detail about database management system, because you are doing a project, you must understand that what is the role of a DBMS. We will talk about, one lecture will be on DBMS, another lecture will be on AI, third lecture might be on the data warehousing. So all the new buzzwords we will try to elaborate with one presentations. So there are 2 types of tools, we have classified them. There are large number of tools, so you have to do some classification, what we will call them traditional tools. You are aware of one such tool, and then we will talk about the modern tools now. Now what are traditional tools? You are aware of word processors or the spreadsheets and the databases. You have done the Excel, and some of your project might be required the knowledge of the spreadsheet. You have to develop certain model which will be done through the help of any of the spreadsheet package, Microsoft package, and then the databases now. And told you that already there will be one lecture on the database as well. And what about the modern tools? This trimester we will focus on this one. We will talk about AI. What is the AI? And in fact we will give you some definition of the AI. Expert system. Expert system is not separate from AI. AI is the expert system is one branch of the AI. I told you that the many branches, in fact I will just list all of them, the many branches of this one. Like for example, whole computer science has got many branches. Operating system is one, computer network is another one, what we will call them data structure is another one, and the software engineering and so on. So the one such area is called artificial intelligence, and lots of research is going on in this area, what we will call them AI. Now lots of machines which you come across, or gadgets which you come across, or which you will be seeing after some time, they have intelligence based in. In fact today all the washing machines have what we will call them fuzzy machines. Basically it's based on the AI techniques and so on. And then we'll talk about expert system, because expert system is very useful in the decision making process. So we'll talk what is expert system, what are the issues are involved in expert system, and later on when you come to the third year, PIT third year, there will be separate course on the expert system. In fact, there are various languages have been designed to write an expert system. For example, one such programming language is called Lisp, the second is called Prolog. So these two programming language, we don't know whether we will be able to do it or not, but sometimes in third year at least you will be introduced to this programming language. So and these programming language are different from the programming language you have come across, because all these programming language, for example Java or the C or C++, which we'll be talking about at a later stage, more for the general purpose, what we'll call them the larger scale software development or the software development around the internet, for which Java has been designed. But these languages are meant for different type of thing. They are meant for the putting intelligence into your software, so that software behave just like a human expert. We'll talk about little bit, and then we have some concept related to data warehousing, which has just emerged now, again in same direction as the database management system, just related to database management system. And what is so database, you know that. I will just quickly give you definition. What is a database? Database is a collection of related information. It's different from file system. You must understand what is the difference. Sometimes we started with file system, now we have come to database now, and database is a collection of related information stored so that it is available so many users for different purpose now. So it is available to many users and they all are for different purpose. This is the database, collections of information. The content of database is obtained by combining data from all the different sources in an organization. So this is called database. And for development of any small project, you must have a database. Without database, you will create a redundancy on your project. So database is something is very much important to develop any information system. Now, for example, what database does, what database management system is used for, and most of the DBMS, like Oracle is DBMS, but again different type of DBMS. DBMS is something like discipline. For example, we say operating system, but Unix is one such operating system, Windows NT another such operating system, and there is a difference between Windows NT and Unix operating system. Somebody asks you what is the difference between Windows NT and E, and most of the guys simply able to differentiate between these two based on the syntax, but no, the real difference between the two operating system is at the lower level, because in Unix operating system all the data, the file is stored byte by byte, whereas in Windows NT or any Microsoft operating system, data is stored record by record. This is basically at lower level one has to understand. Of course, many other features are there which make a difference between the two, more user friendliness, more security or networking and so on. But if you see at lower level, the actual difference is how file is stored. In Unix operating system is a byte by byte, whereas in Windows NT and other operating system, what we'll call them record by record. So any DBMS, whether it's Oracle or Ingress, what they do basically, these are the important features of any database management system. Creating of a file, just look this slides please. The creating of a file, additions and deletions of a data, modifications of data. So you have to learn a query language, what we'll call them SQL, to how to create a file, how to add a record, how to delete a record, how to retrieve a record, how to do the sorting and indexing of the data, and all have a different, might be some, but SQL is standard now. And most important is data integrity. Right, data integrity is something that the consistency of data must be maintained throughout its life cycle. You have maintained one data, if you have changed the data, but it has not affected related to it, then again data integrity will be lost. So you have to maintain the integrity or accuracy or consistency of data throughout, and that can be done only through database management system. Right, and then what is AI now? Just briefly, just a small definition, because I want to give you some time for a question answer also. Data definition: the AI, artificial intelligence, is a study of, is a science now. So a study of how to make computers to do things at which at the moment people are waiting. So there are various techniques are there which makes you to the software behave just like a human expert, and lots of experiment and lots of models have already come into the medicine and the clinical sites which behaves just like a human expert or doctor. Now these are the various areas depending upon your interest, and today even lots of investment is going in, like Microsoft recently, you must have seen now, they are investing lots of money in the game playing, intelligent games, which you will see later on the internet. So game playing another part of the AI now, and lots of techniques are there, not simply a programming, but you have to understand lots of algorithm for making your program much more intelligent. The theorem proving, right? So you have lots of theorem, lots of algorithms are there. The system is able to prove them. So computer vision, speech recognitions now, and lots of, earlier there were no progress, but now we seeing the literature, we find lots of developments are there and lots of good results are there. NLP stands for natural language processing. There will be a time through which you can talk to the computers, or there will be interface through which natural language can also be understood by the computer. And finally the expert systems are there. More focus here in CSI 04 or computing solution will be on the expert system. We'll talk about what are the different type of, what are different component of expert system and so on. How we represent the knowledge, that there is logics are there, various approaches are there to represent your knowledge. Right. So what is the expert system? Just for your this one, these are the systems developed to be used as experts in a particular area. These systems are software packages. Expert system is a software packages that are written with the explicit aim of providing consultancy services, advice and help in solving problems pertaining to a specialized area. So for example, if I am a doctor, then I can advise someone to write a program so that that a program can also behave just like a doctor. But again, whether you believe it or not, the various expert systems have been designed, and it was found, the benchmarking was done, and it was found that in 80% of the cases this expert system has behaved just like a human expert. And finally the data warehousing, but we are not going into detail of data warehousing, but I told you already that is somehow in same direct is related to databases now. So data warehousing are the central locations where concerned how to design a better databases, where concerned data is stored, from where only the authorized user can access the information. And there will be, once we have presentation on it, all the doubts we will try to clear them. And so we have, this is just about one, this one. Then finally we have one outcome, what we call information system within an organizations. Here we simply will talk about how to access and measure information system, and I had given you one example that all the information systems should be quantized or should be measured, so that the information system has some value in the organizations. Just like for example, when you study the computer network, you are going to study large number of protocols. Now if I ask you that which protocol is better, then immediately you can find out, you can answer this question in terms of throughput. You can say yes, this protocol is better because the basic parameter, that is throughput, is much more higher for this protocol and compared to others. So there are various parameters through which you will able to evaluate the importance of the informations and so on. So two basic issues to be examined in this outcome, that is the third outcome, to access and measure a system, review or evaluation of a system. And basically you will know what is the throughput. I have given one example of a throughput in terms of protocol, then productivity, utilizations and the cost, and other parameters, criteria for measuring. You must be aware of all this information, and you are going to all these information when you design a project. It's not simply theoretical that you read and forget, right? So when you talk, for example, when you develop a project, we have CSI 04, CSI 06, 3 projects, one of the projects you have to pick up. And finally, anybody who is going to evaluate your project will always ask you question that what is the validity of this project, what is reliability of the software. Some people, like for MCA, when they come for a project, we ask you that, when we ask them when your software is going to crash, they don't know. They will, no, not at all, it will is going to work always, because he does not know, he had not tested it completely. And you know that the testing is a very big business now and big job now. Most of the software developed by the multinational company has crashed after some time. I told you that sometimes there was some problem with Windows 98 also, it crashed the moment the Bill Gates wanted to demonstrate it, the same day it crashed immediately. So all the features you have to understand like relevance of this software project, the accuracy of the data and so on. So, all these parameters you try to understand and try to build into your software project which you are going to design. If programming is one small exercise, most of the guys who go outside and interviewed, nobody sees their complete code. They don't know. I then sometimes say how big code they have asked, and whatever say they believe it. But what is important for them when they talk to you on telephone is these parameters. Sometimes they ask you that, okay, you have done a big project and you tell me how you have optimized your code, and nobody knows the word optimizations. Optimization means how fast your program works at the less cost, at less memory utilizations, less CPU utilizations and so on. So, you have to address to those issues. You are not simply a programmer. The basic course is for making you as a good system analyst, that you must understand various parameters for designing the software. Right. So, this is, and when you do the analysis before, and lots of time you have to put on the analysis, not that I have seen many students simply you ask any problem, simply go to the computer and start writing a program, but it will, those programs and those software easily get crashed and will not very what we will call them, gives you very high throughput. So, you have to understand and try to build into all those and that is what we are looking for when you do the project. So, you have to understand, find more informations and try to see how it can be accommodated and so on. So, what we are talking about, that the basic heart of whole HND program which you are doing it as a part of your BIT is the what we will call them common skills, right. Not simply you know the subject, but also you have how you are able to present your subject, how well you are able to influence the people while you are talking to them and so on. Right, communication skill for example, and so all these will be part of your, you have to understand and try to build into it. And the people who, if you go into bigger good organizations, they are basically the software development means all the features have to be part of it, not only the big millions of lines of code you develop, but not considering these parameters. And finally, we will just take 5 or 10 minutes more and just give you one overview of the networking. I told you that we will have a 3 more presentation of the networking, although we have more than 5 or 6 presentations, and I think all you must have the video cassette at your center. So, once you start, you must have viewed them, and any questions you have, then next sessions will be trying to answer them. So, these are the important topics which we are going to discuss now. And the networking courses will be delivered at different, you have second trimesters you have a one networking course, again third trimester also you have a networking course, in fourth trimester also we are not calling them networking but website management, again networking is coming. So, networking will be talking at different levels and at different layers all the time, but this is the basics you have to understand. But this here is the basic, the objective of this course is that you must be fully comfortable with at least one network software, what we call the network operating system like Windows NT or Unix. You must be aware of installations, or at least you must know all these features of this type of software. So, not only from theoretical point of view, but you must know that how does Windows NT work, what are the important parameters of the Windows NT, how the installations process takes place. In fact, you must have done in the first trimester itself, but as a part of your practical sessions, some 1 or 2 weeks can be devoted on this one, and the remaining time can be, in fact I will be telling you if I get time at the end, that this time you have more theoretical subjects. So, at the part of your practical sessions, if you have not completed your Java what we had planned and so on, you can continue, and I will request all the TLC coordinator to continue with the Javas, whatever topics they have not covered, they please try to cover them. And again another topic could be the networking, another such topic could be if you RDBMS can start right now, instead of talking about, instead of giving some presentation on Oracle, they can start with Microsoft Access and so on. So, these 2-3 tools you can use for your practical sessions. So, now these are briefly I will just give you now. So, basically we will talk about how the network has evolved. Evolutions of the network we will talk now, started from the simple file and the print network through a small office computing to client server architecture. All these things will be discussed: internet, intranet, LAN, MAN, WAN, network applications, cost benefit analysis. You know that just for your this one, that network is classified, the different parameters for classifications of the network. One parameter to classify the network is the distance, and through distance factor we say this is LAN, it is a MAN, or it is a wide area network, or we can say the internet. So from distance now. But the another important parameter is what we will call them, whether data is stored and forwarded and so on. For example, if I have to send my data from to another machine and it is passes through number of nodes in between, based on this parameter whether data is switched or not, the network is divided into two types. In fact, we have asked this question sometimes in the second trimester students now, that what are different type of networks. They simply say LAN, MAN, WAN, because yes, this is correct, but this is just half of the information you have provided to us, because this is based on only one parameter. Take example, if I talk to someone through telephone, your telephone is not directly connected to the destination's telephone, not at all. Your telephone call passes through some of the switching exchange, and then from this one might be going directly to your house, or it might be going to another switching exchange and so on. Same way in computer network, when you send your packet or data, right, for example, if suppose that I want to send email to someone in USA, it not goes directly to that one, right, it passes through number of hosts and let us say VSNL gateway and so on, and is stored for some period of time and again forwarded and so on. So based on this one, whether data is stored at some place or directly broadcast. So based on this one, there are two types of network, what we call them switch network, and second is called broadcast network. All your local area network which you are going to study, and in local area network we will talk about different types of topology, we will talk about different type of standards, like what we call them IEEE 802 standards. You all have to be aware of, you must understand all these standards very well, must be able to differentiate that how this IEEE 802.3 is different from IEEE 802.4, not going at very much at syntactical level, but at least at the philosophical level, that what is the difference, why you require so many standards are there. And there are many standards and there are many protocols. Not only that, we will talk about different type of models here, like the two types of models are there, what we will call them TCP IP model, what we will call them OSI model. So the two approach to designing a computer network, OSI model and what we will call them TCP IP. All these models you have to study here, and as well as the future trimesters now. So for each layer, you know, the TCP IP, what we call them 5 layers are there. And whereas in OSI model, what we call them the 7 layer models are there, and each layer has got certain standard. Like for example, when we say transport layer has one standard called TCP, but there is another standard what we will call them UDP. If you come to little bit down, you come to the network layer which actually does the routing of the packet, there is also one standard what we will call them IP. So here itself you have to understand different layers, different standard for each layer. Not only that, you have to understand in terms of devices also. For example, somebody can ask you, and we have been asking the question, you must have a reference to previous questions for preparing your examination, that what type of questions we have in mind. That we also ask that, let us say the bridge you must have heard of, or router you must have heard of or might be hearing them, or gateway is one such thing you always come across, or to which layer they belong to. Like for example, a router is at network layer, gateway might be at transport layer and so on. So what exactly we say that a router belongs to gateway, or let us say router belongs to the network layer, because they understand the network protocol, they understand the IP protocol. You have to understand these basics, not more than that, but that itself comprises the whole syllabi, LAN, MAN, different topology, configurations and so on. So TCP you have to understand. So these are the basically which you have already listed. You have to know the OSI model, you have to know IEEE 802 standards, we have to know different topology. Bus is one such topology, the ring is another such topology. Network devices, what are the network devices? A router is network device, but not simply it is a programmable device. You have a gateway is another such device, the repeater is another such device, bridge is another such device. Network, all these machines today which you have worked on or going to work on have changed. Today when we were engineering student, when simply the computers contained only the keyboard and basically hard disk and so on. Now the basic design of computer has changed now. Most of the computers today are having the ATM card or Ethernet card or containing what we will call them modems and so on. So, these are the basic design changes. When we were a student, we used to be taught that what is a computer? We say the computer is an electronic device which does this one, this one, this one. So, now the basic definition of computer has also changed, because the architecture of computer has changed, or design of computer has changed. Today we say, if somebody asks you that what is a computer, you do not say the old definitions now, you must say that network is the computer today, right, or computer is the network, because computer is not a standalone machine today, frankly speaking now, or you will see after some times that all the machines which you come across will be part of certain network now. So, the basic definition is the computer is the network, or network is the computers now, because software development which you are going to do now after some time is not going to be designed for a single machine, but going to be designed for entire network. And today you see that most of the software today is internet enabled. You take example of Windows 98, it is internet enabled, because sending the email is not, you do not have to come to at the browser level, sitting at the operating system level itself, you can send the email also. Most of the operating system has changed, like all the operating system, I gave you example of Windows 98 onwards. Let us take example of Sun Solaris, they are designed around the internet. They always assume that internet is going to be used as a distribution vehicle and so on. Take example of RDBMS, take example of Oracle 8i. Oracle 8i is another such device which use another such software which is basically used for this one. So, we will talk about TCP IP addressing schemes, the different classes of addressing A, B, C, D, E and so on. We will talk about different technology. ATM is one such. So, we will give one presentation of ATM. We will talk about FDDI, token ring. You have to understand the difference between token ring and FDDI. And then again, apart from that, you will be learning the administrations of the network, that you have to learn. In fact, if you have learned already from the first trimester, we will try to repeat once again. That you must be fully comfortable with this one. In fact, today who have done the network management course or network installation, again they are very high demand and they gave very good package. We will talk about how to set up the security part into the network operating system and so on. So, these are the basic topics which we are going to discuss in your second trimester, and finally, we will talk about the projects. Now, projects is the title will be coming sometimes, and again I tell you, taking this opportunity, let me announce that all the assignment for the first trimesters, see, you have to doing this project, you have to understand system analysis very well, you have to understand CSI 04 very well, because we are not testing your skill in the programming. Some of you can opt for a programming, we do not have any objections at all, but our marking system will be based only on whether you have met all the criteria of your software. We will see the basically throughput, or basically user friendliness, or the efficiency of your software. So, all the parameters which we have listed, analysis you have done properly or not, design you have done properly or not, right. We will not test your code, that is not something we are looking at this stage. We maximum time you have to put on the analysis and design, then only your software could be much more reliable. This is all we wanted to have, and I will request now, I will is open to you. Now, we will receive the questions from you, but again I will you have understood the directions in which we have gone today. We are not going to any details. You ask your questions from this one now.
So in today's times, a lot of new protocols and a lot of new terminologies like the WAP is coming in. So, sir, how do you presume that we'll be staying updated with all those changes coming up?
That's all right. This is a good question. But you see, all right, to understand the WAP, you have to understand some basics, right? And the focus is this time. I told you that we will be talking the computer network from second trimester to end till your all BIT ends, right? So, we will talk at different layers, right. So, first we will talk about basics, because if I start talking immediately in the TCP IP, you will not able to understand. You have to understand what is the protocol, what are different layers are there and so on, what are devices are there. So, first we will give you the philosophy architecture of the protocol in general. Once you have certain base, we will talk about WAP will be coming into the second trimesters. I hope there is one course, I think second or third trimesters, there is some topic on the WAP. So, we will definitely talk about WAP. So, now see what we will doing now, that I told you that CSI 04, some basic lectures are already recorded now. Now my focus will be to go little bit higher side, something which had been not been touched upon. We'll try to elaborate the topic by introducing some new topics now, like web. But web is too early to talk about because basics are not clear. You might be understanding many things, but you have to see, take all people along.
On what parameters do we differentiate the DBMS into RDBMS or HDBMS?
Okay. So now see, the various parameters are there. The various parameters. No, RDBMS is one type of DBMS. We have a hierarchical DBMS. We have a network database. We have a knowledge database. We have an image database. So we have client server database. So not only one type of database. We'll talk about different type of database to differentiate that this is RDBMS. Like for example, we say that yes, FoxPro is a RDBMS, or FoxPro is not RDBMS, but Oracle is RDBMS, or Oracle supports all the feature of RDBMS, whereas FoxPro does not support. Now to measure all the parameters of any product being a RDBMS, one has to understand what we call them CORD commandments. We will talk about all that one. The CORD commandment. CORD is scientists who develop the RDBMS. So he has given 12 rules for identifying or quantifying or measuring any DBMS as a RDBMS. We will talk about CORD commandments, and data integrity is one. But just to answer your query in little bit more detail, the basic difference between RDBMS on any other database which we listed just now is that the data is stored into tabular form. So all the rules and the mathematics is based on manipulation of these tables now. Yes, please. Now next questions.
So you said that in Unix files are stored byte-wise.
Yeah.
And in Windows, NT and all other operating system files are stored record-wise. So can you describe it more about record-wise, how they are stored?
So basically, you see the you take example of any programming language, right? Any programming language, you have a record. You understand this one? You understand this one?
Yeah.
So any programming, you have a record, or what we call it. For example, C language now,
Yes.
right? In C language, you have a struct is one such record type of feature. You have a union.
Yes.
You have a bit fields, right?
Yes.
So they say basically they always take all the data. They try to do some grouping, right?
Yes.
You understand this one? So their set of bytes, they are taken as a one depending upon the language or depending upon that one. So set of bytes is taken as a one record. Whereas in Unix they don't combine them. They don't make as a one group. They always take as a byte by byte. Each character might be taken one byte. It goes individually. There is no in between any what we call terminator or initializer in between itself. Whereas, so basically you try to understand the meaning, what exactly I mean by record. It is basically grouping of some records now, and each set of bytes will become a starting point or the end point, whereas in Unix you just go as a flow of bytes only. There is no in between any other meaning attached to it. This is one such difference between Unix but not only one difference. Some supports lots of networking feature, like Windows NT has become much more user friendliness and in terms of networking support than the Unix. But at lower level, you see, as a programmer who is doing the system software development, they always look at this level now, how they are different. Suppose that I have to port Unix, suppose that I have got a software developed under Unix, now everybody is moving towards Windows NT, or right, then again I have to see how records are stored there. How the actually file is stored. You have to you have to target that one.
Good evening, sir. Sir, ultimately, which is a better operating system to work on today, Unix or Windows NT? So, at our TLCs, respective TLCs, so which is the one we should be using?
No, we are basically more oriented towards Windows NT. We are moving towards Windows NT. But we have told them that in the first trimester you had something on Unix as well, right? Unix also you have been taught now. But you better now all these network, like for example, we are talking about network installations, right? So all the network installation we talk only in terms of Windows NT, not the Unix now. Today trend is more towards Windows NT, or we can say the Linux or the Sun Solaris, right? What we can't cover. If finally one operating system you have to aware of, and that we picked up, that is the Windows NT. But I thought Unix, you must understand the Unix well. So at least first trimester we gave you some exposure of the Unix. So now onwards we will be talking only in the Windows NT. Sometimes there is some proposal to start something on the Linux operating system also. But we'll see. In one cycle we can't do so many things. After one cycle is complete, one batch is complete, then we'll get some feedback and try to do some changes here and there.
What is difference between client server and distributed database system?
Client server and distributed databases. You see, basically I will be answering your questions little bit. They all client server is part of it, no, but I will just answer your question little bit. I will try to reframe your question, and that you try to satisfy your that answer that at this moment. Now you must understand at this stage, I think in CSI 01 we introduced various operating system terminology. You remember, we talked about distributed operating system, we talked about what we will call them network operating system. You, rather than asking, I will answer this question, that you try to understand little bit later, because client server database we have at later stage we will try to present them, because it require lots of effort now. At this moment you try to understand what is the difference between distributed operating system and a network operating system. I will answer this question like this. So basically, in distributed operating system is designed for different purpose now. For example, in distributed operating system, suppose I have to solve a problem, but both are based on networking feature. Whether you are talking about client server operating system, or whether you are talking about the network operating system, or whether you are talking about distributed operating system, they all have a based on the networking feature. They all the machines who are supporting this type of operating system must be fully networked. You understand? This is the basics of client server and all this on. But the difference between network operating system just like a Unix or Windows NT and some distributed operating system is that in distributed operating system is meant for computational purpose. For example, if I am running certain scientific computations and my machine is not capable enough of handling this one, then distributed operating system will port the thread or the process of your program to some other machine, and user is simply not aware of it, does some computations there itself and bring your result back, right. So, all the administrative work is done by the distributed operating system, whereas in network operating system, when you are dealing with some other machine, you have to aware of the URL or the addresses of those machines. So, what the major one such difference is that when we are talking about distributed operating system, whole system administration is taken care by the operating system itself, whereas in network operating system, most of the addressing related or the lower level is done by the user.
So nowadays we are using TCP/IP protocol.
Yes.
Why we are giving importance to only TCP/IP rather than other protocols?
Like
which
which protocol you want to give importance to?
You was talking about TCP/IP, but you have talked about that in brief. I want to just further define more things about TCP/IP.
Okay. So, basically we will talk about TCP/IP. In fact, I will talk about the addressing mechanism of TCP/IP also. See, basically TCP/IP is something which has become a standard now, not something we want or you want. It has become a standard for the internet now. All the protocols today are is industry standard now. Before TCP/IP, I gave you the two models are there for designing computer network. One is what we will call them OSI model, which has got 7 layers, but this model is theoretical model. Now, the another standard which came from the industry, which is accepted by all, what we call TCP/IP, right. So, TCP/IP has today become the standard. Later on, when we come to the computer network course in BIT third year, you will see all books today which was used to be developed around the OSI model, now being redesigned around TCP/IP model, because TCP/IP has become a standard. All the protocols, for example, in applications layer, I do not know whether you understand these jargons or not. In applications layer, we have a, for example, when you do the email, there is another protocol. When you do the telnet, there is another such protocol. When you do FTP, so all these protocols are designed around the TCP/IP. Today, everything is being designed around the TCP/IP. Right? For example, now today whole software development is designed around Java. Why Java? Because it has become the standard now, right? Because it gives you the platform independent software. And today all the industry is facing software crisis only because that all the software compilers are basically designed around particular specific machine.
So what is VSAT?
VSAT.
Yeah.
It is today it is used for one of the for informations delivery or the packet delivery. VSAT is basically used. But I will be answering this question little bit because it require lots of other informations to be explain to you is basically when we come to the local area network, then we'll talk about one such. No, I gave you one such example, that we have a basis on whether information is switched or not is based on that one. There are two classification, what we call them switch network and second is called broadcast network, right? Like satellite, when you transfer the data through satellite is called broadcast network, but when I transfer my data through cable, right, but not all the time, there is a certain, again there is difference between the two, but if data is being transferred through physical lines and being stored somewhere else, we will call them. So, VSAT, from today's discussions, you might be needing little bit more information, but from today's discussion I will say the VSAT is basically comes as a part of broadcast network rather than a switch network. This is the only from today's scenario. Your question is something else now. Yes, please.
In optimizing, if we have taken different languages, if we are taking programming and programming in certain language, will optimizing that is in the basis of memory requirement and the speed will differ?
Yes. See, basically again it has to be, the answer to this optimization is not very generic word. Optimization will vary from platform to platform also. But again optimization has certain meaning. But anyway, since time is less, I will just answer these questions in terms of Java now. If you have developed a good software in Java, and if somebody asks you, okay, you have done a program in Java, you tell me how you have optimized your code in Java, like this. There are various tools. Say for example, in C language, unless you do use a pointers, you can't optimize your program. Same way in Java, unless you have a multi-threading concept. That is why we have been emphasizing right from the beginning that you must learn multi-threading, right? Multi-threading is the heart of Java program, and multi-threading optimizes CPU time, means I have optimized my software, right? Because CPU taking very less time in switching over from a small task to another subtask, means CPU time I have utilized them, so I have optimized. So this is a very big answer. I mean, question is not can be easily, but since as you are growing up, you can answer this question with level of sophistication. At this stage, only Java can help you. Through multi-threading, you can optimize your code. Anyway, I think we are coming to an end. Thank you very much. We welcome you once again in all these our presentations so that we can have interaction. And so this is the model we wanted to present for group discussions at TLCs, right? Not only monologue, but some question answer you have to prepare. Next topic will be some of the tools of information processing. So we'll announce it. I think today or tomorrow it will be coming up the net. This all we coming to an end. Thank you very much.